How did Elizabeth Street get its name, and why is it the main street in Hobart? There's a rich photographic history in Tasmania. Beattie Studio has thousands of photos and the collection's been handed down to me. Let me show you some things about Tasmania that have been forgotten. G'day and welcome to Forgotten Tasmania. I'm John Stevenson. How did Elizabeth Street get its name? Is it named after someone famous like a Queen Elizabeth or Elizabeth I? Why is Hobart where it is? Why did they pick that spot? The first try at a British town along the Derwent River was Risdon Cove in 1803. That's a really significant and interesting forgotten story, and I'll cover that in another episode. But in 1804, Lieutenant Colonel Collins came in a ship called the Lady Nelson. Now that ship features in lots of Tasmania's history. Collins declared the Risdon Cove site totally unsuitable. He founded a settlement at Sullivan's Cove, which grew to become Hobart Town, named after the Earl of Buckinghamshire, Secretary of State to the colonies. Apparently there was a push to call it Hobarton, but that name didn't stick, thank goodness. It became just Hobart in 1881, about the same time Beattie moved here to work for the Anson brothers. In 1811, Governor Macquarie arrived in Hobart Town. The island was called Van Diemen's Land then, and they didn't change the name to just Tasmania until 1856, the same year that Beattie was born. But in 1811, the town consisted of just a few shacks along a creek, which is now the Hobart Town rivulet. It came out at what was the water's edge, and later in 1818, the land was reclaimed and joined up with Hunter Island. The rivulet features heavily in Hobart's history, but nowadays it's worse than forgotten, it's a problem. They built a city on top of it. The Myer building, for example, and during the construction there was a flood and the rivulet broke out from its underground course and flooded parts of the Cat and Fiddle Arcade. The first thing Governor Macquarie did was draw up plans for some streets and name them after himself and his wife Elizabeth, hence Macquarie and Elizabeth Streets. Hobart streets weren't named after kings or queens, but they were vanity names for the first governor that drew up plans. Arriving in Hobart Town by ship, you disembarked, walked up Elizabeth Street, crossed over Macquarie Street and into the main part of town, which is now called the Elizabeth Mall. These first few episodes will be about different parts of those streets. We'll see Franklin Square, named after Governor John Franklin. He and his wife Jane have lots of places named after them, so I want to find out what was so special about them. There used to be a George Square named after King George, but that was demolished and built over, and I think that's sort of part of Macquarie Street now. So we've got to find out about that, and there's so many more things to discover. And I want to take a look at what's now the Elizabeth Mall, because there's so many things buried away in there that have been forgotten. There's so much to see, I can't wait to tell you all about it. Please subscribe to this channel. That's how new people find out about it, and it also helps in ultimately fund the collection, so it's really important that more people subscribe. If you like the video, hit the like button, hit the bell notification if you want to find out when the next one comes out. If you've got something to say, stick it in the comments and I read all of them. And I just can't wait for the next episode. Thank you so much for everything you do for me, and I'll see you next time.